Artist in recovery / Gerald P. Morning. 3:16 in the morning, Sunday, April 27th, 2025. Weaver, John City, Roseman, California. The Diary of a Griever named John Weaver, which is me. How you doing? No, we're not talking about diary stuff. We're talking about politics. We're talking about everything else going on in your life. Including the videos that you, well, seeing my dog trying to kill herself on the floor all over the place. Mama, come here. Come here, honey. Early in the morning, she wants to run around all over the damn place, and she's driving herself nuts. Hang on a second. She's a royal knothead. Oh, I just have to keep checking to see if she's still alive or not. But she runs up like she hasn't been hurt as much. That's my old fort for you. Okay, if America's so great again and the world's becoming slaves, geez, when did you not be aware of this? And also, you went as far as 20th century. You didn't go earlier than that. That's why I keep saying in my older videos. My earlier videos I had history, kept telling about things we went through. We have had empires in different lands acquiring places. Biggest one we ever heard about? Oh, not about the China Providence, and definitely not Japan. Middle Eastern. Um, so we've had Eurasia trying to gobble up the Middle East. Not the Middle East. Yeah, part of the Middle East. And the Mediterranean countries out there. Genghis Khan ring a bell? Roman Empire ring a bell? Babylonian? Egyptian? They've been at her. The Holy Roman Empire? Yeah, I did say that. Holy Roman Church, Catholicism. Telling the kings to do their crusades in the Middle East and bring Christianity to the rest of the world. A lot of good that did. You want to talk about country turning itself on its head, having religion being on the top dog and government obeying it? Iran. And yes, we did have the Soviet Empire, the Soviet Union, taking over the Baltic states until when they fell off, and then the other countries decided to reassert themselves. I think Yugoslavia broke itself apart. A lot of world history that the kids these days have to read about, but then again, we watched it all. Dude, we watched all this stuff. If America was so great. Well, in a mindset a long time ago, we may have. We may have had a simple arrogance in our mindset, in our walk and stuff. But we really didn't feel like we owned the world. We didn't have paradise either. We already had problems. We already had problems ever since our country got started, even prior to that. We carried on a tradition of slavery for a long while, fought ourselves for that one, and still had anger and resentment still feeling somewhere in there. We had women's rights, fighting, women fighting for rights to vote at least, to be heard, to own, to have freedom. Civil rights of the blacks happening. If I didn't select English literature in college for a major, I should have been selecting it for history. Weirdest damn thing is when I came out of high school, I thought I was going to be stuck in books. Wanted to write books. I was a bookworm. I really didn't read histories on autobiography. I didn't read the autobiographies. I wish I had. They're in the author's own words of how things were, or maybe the biographies being written about them. I watched a hell of a lot of them in my youth. Should have made biography. I should have made history my major, but I didn't. But I was studying other history that should have been not Americanized. I studied English history. Studied part of my heritage. I'd seen a lot of my heritage on a television screen. Seeing royal news. Reading about it all the damn time in colleges. How was I not supposed to deal with this? How should have been American history. I should have been popping up on. No, I was studying about English history. Vikings came over, conquerors came over from different lands into the island of what was going to be England, and Scotland, and then Ireland. Normans versus Saxons. How to get an island into a monarchy state. A lot to read, a lot to study, a lot to try to deal with a professor who's putting you to sleep in one particular class. Another professor prior to him was making me stoked. I wish I could have kept up with it. It would have been fascinating. But I didn't. I didn't. But American literature, yeah, I studied that in a summertime college. A long time ago. It's only taken me about 30 or 40 years later than college courses studying about English history, but not history, but just literature, and then history in its literature, and then American literature, and how we were in American history for that one. Everything was kind of blending in my head. Something about America being so great, well, it was only in a mindset. If we thought we were great, we were great. If not, we were just Americans. We weren't a glorious empire ruling. Unfortunately, while we're dealing with the Trump and his thinking at this point, his mindset of grifting, and not to mention his his instability that's still not verifiable by physicians who could challenge the guy and just tell him, you're nuts. You're incompetent. And they don't want the backlash because they're afraid of him. Nobody's got the guts to face up to the gas bag and say, you're fucking nuts, dude. You need to be locked up. Stick you down to Mar-a-Lago and keep you there forever while you're doing your golf courses until the day you actually do croak on a course. My dog wants to run so damn badly, it's driving her nuts. At least she's running. Give me a second here, dude. Had to adjust one of the pads on her. Replaced a few things, so her play spark's gone a little crazy. She's a little dippy, but she's able to run. And 3:27 in the frickin' morning. People are usually sleeping during this time. Not this dog. I'm waiting for her to tire out so she can go to sleep, and then I can go to sleep. Life of being a caregiver for a dog. So, America becoming weak in education, shutting down the education, financing for everything. Yeah, it sounds like a corporate move. We're turning into slaves. Congratulations. We're slaves. We've been that way ever since for a long while. If you really want to look at it, dude, come on. We've been slaves for a long while. We couldn't cut it in college. We couldn't cut it in trade schools. We had to be workers. Human beings have been enslaving each other for a hell of a long while. Pisses us off because we're Americans. We're not supposed to do that kind of thing. You want to bet? Give me a break. We've had it. Not just black shareholders. Not the sharecroppers. No. We brought in Chinese. We brought in other immigrants coming in. And they did the labor and they were despised. Irish were despised. Chinese were despised. Even Italians were despised a bit. Had their own little conclaves at different portions of our country forming. They even try to pass laws against some of them. This is what happens when you study history. And you read about this kind of stuff and you're like, what? In America? Yeah, in America. The reasons why we need the education in the first place. It's usually up to states, but when the Federal of Education came into play, I think Jimmy Carter had something to do with it. President Jimmy Carter back in the late 70s created a Department of Education to help. And our test scores rose up a bit. And competition got worse and worse. We do have private universities. We have public community colleges that are funded by the state and by people's tax dollars. But the things that matter the most is what I still can't stand people saying because they think it's going to be the thing to solving it. Charter schools. You didn't mention anything about that, did you? I probably missed it. Charter schools, dude. The privileged go to charter. Where does everybody else go? To the gutters. Public education going downhill because they're not getting sufficient enough funding because it's being diverted. There are several schools out in Texas who are funding their charter schools up in, was it Colorado or Utah? Some of those two states. Funding them out of state. How come the people didn't fight hard enough for that one? Of course, you had people voted into office who wanted that kind of crap in the first place. The thing is about our democracy right now is we get anybody in office. We get anybody in office, dude. That means if you had sufficient enough money or found some way to get sufficient enough money to get yourself rolling in, maybe you could have gotten yourself a candidacy in your state. And then you'd want to make changes in that state for the good or for the worse or for something else. Let's say, for example, you live in Bristol, right? What happens if you wanted to be a representative in the Congress or in your state? But you really had some really rotten ideas. I'm going to look at maps. And while my dog is whining her head off because now she realizes I'm not in there, let her whine for a few minutes anyway. I'm going to go to Bristol. I'm going to Bristol, Connecticut. Such a charming little town of Bristol, Connecticut. Are you done yet, Ma? One of these days, I'm going to throw a dog at you just for the fun of it. No, my dog is just going absolutely bonkers at this point. Where the hell am I at again? I'm supposed to be in Bristol. Okay. Bristol, where are you? There you are. So, that little square thing of Bristol. Oh, geez, look at that prime real estate over there. Okay, let's see if I was a corrupt politician here. What would I do to you? Okay, let's say if I got into Bristol, made my address over there. Let's see if I could be doing a corrupt thing here. What can I tear down? Let's see. You don't need as many cafes. Okay, we're going to plow some of them. Eminent domain on those guys. Okay, they're gone. Wait a sec. What else we got? You've got so much foliage. You got so many trees. Guess what? Denuded. You got trees in your area? Gone. I'm a demented politician. I'm making it my business to tearing apart your country here. And I've got corporate financing to do this. So I just put my address in one particular place. Used to for mailing it. Now, being a very rotten, evil guy, for the good of the country, for the good of whatever it is I'm going to do to you, I'm taking away your trees. So we're going to be denuding everything in there. I mean, we're going to be denuding. And let's just say it's just not Bristol I'm going after. I'm going after Connecticut. I'm going to denude your state of every damn tree. That's right. You got a tree. It's gone. And let's see, if I was being very, very charitable as a villain, I'm going to be a very, very charitable villain at this point. So we're chopping up the trees at this point. Oh, good. We got ponds. Manufacturing. Let's put some stuff over there. We got a golf course. Well, guess what? I don't like golf. It's gone. Okay. Daryl, it's gone. By my word, as a villain who's just now owned property, or stolen property anyway, put a lousy address over there, so now I got property. And conned and connived and brainwashed everybody I could. So now I got money, I got power. Now what do I have? I've got ambition and ego. Let's make America great again by destroying it. So, let's see, where we got? Morton's Christmas trees. Woodacres Farm. Ah! For a Christian act at this point over here. Get rid of the Christmas trees. Goodbye, Morton trees. Wiped. Okay, now they're denuded. We see the pond. Drained. Plowed under. We're putting manufacturing over here. Pump out the smoke already. So Connecticut trees and a lot of wildlife management. Yes. More manufacturing. We are the Borg. We will assimilate. So now, as a big bad politician who's hearing a lot of your constituents screaming and yelling at me because I am doing changes to Connecticut, I'm going to stick out the hand and say, I don't care. Talk to my hand. I want more devastation in your state. There's a golf course. Boom, gone. Fairgrounds. Boom, gone. Burlington community. Gone. Why? Because I say so. Because I'm a bastard of a politician. Of course, naturally, in the state legislature of yours, they're going to be yelling and screaming at me, and I'm going to say, I don't care. I've got the money. I've got the power, and now I'm telling you, bugger off. I'm destroying the state one way or another. And if you don't like it, I'm making America great again by making America poor again. You don't like it? Tough shit. Oh, I've got to make it a media. I've got the egomaniac going on in me. And I will rule the world by destroying it state by state. I could do with a comedy routine on this damn thing, you know? Very insulting, isn't it? Especially when I look at your particular territory. Of course, you'd be saying, well, what about California? Ah! How dare you destroy California? I will destroy Connecticut first because I am an evil politician and I will do it. I have got hooked up with money, power, connections, and everything else. Hartford, Connecticut's going to be wiped off the face of the earth. And I will continue to do so. Right to the coastline. New Haven's going to be plowed under. So while I'm having a conniption fit at this point over here, you're saying, okay, let's do something to California. I'll be putting up my arms like this thing. What are you going to do about it? I'm a California just got into Connecticut, and I'm taking over your state. And I'm wiping it out to the state boundaries. What are you going to do after that? I've got. What do you got? You've got nothing. Okay, well, Springfield we don't touch. Worcestershire we don't touch. So while I'm focusing on your particular state to destroy at this point, no doubt you're probably thinking, well, I could do the same thing to California. And I'd be laughing at you saying, we're bigger than you are. You've got nothing. We've got everything. What do you want? Oh, shall we do this game? Part two? Okay. Part two it is, pal. And quite frankly, you're going to be looking for a point to this. We are dealing with a point.